Alrighty, guys, welcome to another Wrestling Universe here as we're going to look at WWE's first NXT Takeover for 2019 for the main takeover, and that is in Phoenix, which was during the Royal Rumble weekend when we had the first takeover for the year. And there was quite obviously some quite big moments that actually happened during this event. Of course, one of the highlights was including the winners for the NXT year-end awards for 2018, which they announced some of those winners during the pre-show, which was obviously that was one of the big things they were going to do for this live event, as this was the award ceremony night. But in terms of the actual event itself, we would have the War Raiders taking on the Undisputed Era for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Undisputed Era have had a pretty big year last year, not only trying to keep an eye on the NXT tag titles, but also having Roderick Strong, who obviously was a good guy, turn heel and become a part of the faction, and now he has become obviously a big name with the NXT tag team titles. So it's because of that this led to this match happening, and of course the War Raiders would end up defeating the Undisputed Era and finally capturing the NXT tag titles from the Undisputed Era themselves. And they would finally make a name for themselves as a tag team, as they would become the next team to finally successfully capture the NXT Tag Championships, which is big for them, no question about it. And then, of course, on top of that, we would have the garbage match where we would have Matt Riddle taking on Casino Ono in a one-on-one match again. And, of course, Matt Riddle would defeat Casino Ono in a one-on-one match, making him obviously tap out in front of the crowd and manages to put on a show, you could say. And then eventually this would then lead to another championship match, which is for the North America Championship, where Ricochet would put the title on the line against Johnny Gargano, who has obviously become more pretty much, you could say, has taken on the heel persona ever since, of course, the battles he's had with Tommaso Ciampa, who was his former partner as part of the DIY. Well, it turns out Johnny Gargano would end up defeating Ricochet and would finally become the third man in history to finally become the NXT North America champion, and would beat Ricochet to finally win the championship. And now he and Tommaso Ciampa have got championship golds, or single title victories in NXT. And then eventually this would then lead to a NXT women's title match where Sonya Blaze would take on Bianca Belair for the NXT Women's Championship. And of course, Sonya Blaze had promised that she was going to beat her, and of course she certainly did. And obviously, Sonya Blaze would remain the NXT Women's Champion at this takeover, but I'm pretty sure she'll probably end up losing the title during the takeover in New York City, in New York, New Jersey, when we'll probably have NXT Takeover Brooklyn for WrestleMania weekend, which will be interesting. And then, of course, the final match being the NXT Championship match where Tommaso Ciampa would take on Aleister Black. Finally, these two will finally battle out again for the NXT Championship. And, of course, Tommaso Ciampa would defeat Aleister Black and remain the NXT Champion heading into the takeover in Brooklyn in April, in time for WrestleMania weekend. And, of course, at the end of this match, we would have this sort of moment where Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa would actually unite in celebration, holding their championships at the end of the match, which brought so many eyebrows and so many questions to why this was happening. Could this lead to perhaps Johnny Gargano having his eyesights at the NXT Championship again? Perhaps he might turn face again, and we might see this Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano final chapter finally conclude at NXT Takeover in Brooklyn. Who knows? It might be interesting to see what happens here, but we'll obviously have to keep our eyes peeled what they could be planning for the future in terms of 2019 in NXT. But apart from that, that is pretty much all the highlights for Phoenix NXT Takeover, and we'll be obviously having our next takeover will be in Brooklyn, where they were last summer for takeover. But obviously this time it's going to be just during WrestleMania weekend, and that is because of the fact that WrestleMania 35 is going to be in New York, New Jersey. It'll be in the MetLife Stadium this year. So obviously that means this summer we're going to be NXT Takeover is going to be in a different location this summer, which will, which I believe it's going to be in Calendar. I believe it will be in Toronto this summer, so it's going to be there this time round. But so yeah, apart from that, really, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be looking forward to discussing about the Elimination Chamber next week, as this weekend is the Elimination Chamber. There's a lot of eyebrows questioning whether Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper will finally return. Will Kevin Owens show up? Knowing the fact that we're apparently a month away from his return, and also about Sami Zayn. When's he going to show up in the road to WrestleMania? And could Kofi Kingston finally win the WWE Championship this weekend? Which I know a lot of people are asking that question right now due to his performance on SmackDown recently. But apart from that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in that Elimination Chamber results video. So see you then.